All right, kiddos, round 6. Let's get this foreground in and we'll be done. Other than after we paint it, we'll have to look at the whole painting and see if we like it and see if things are working for us. So while I think this is going to be my first brush switch. We'll go with the flat, we'll go with the synthetic flat. And all that I'm trying to get across is we're going dark. I want to make the paint thinner for the dark because I'm going to add on top of it some of the highlights of the leaves and the branches, and we'll go from there. So let's get to it. Adjustment necessary. And then this is what we got so far. All right, so I'm gonna go with the dark. I'm gonna dip the water in mineral spirits. I'm gonna dry it off a little bit. I'm just gonna go into my dark, kind of flatten it out. Might go back in, just not quite as thin as what I had when I was drawing it, but still enough to make it easy straight. You see how that smooth that look? It's like butter, right? And I was told to say I'm painting happy little trees now from my good buddy Henry Foster, giving him a shout out. And I'm hinting at some of the air holes. If I really wanted to, I could just basically block in every dark area I see, and that's okay to do, and that's what I want to do right now. Even you'll see me use this brush, and even though you think, well, that's just a flat brush, it can't do much, you turn it on its edge and you maneuver it, you can get a lot of great effects just with this brush. Use it all the time, love it. It's great for so many things, especially when they get ragged or some of the hairs get out of it. Sometimes a ratty brush is invaluable, because if it was pristine, it wouldn't make these really cool marks, but they do make them. So I don't know, I'm just oxymoron today. You can try to make them, and they work. They work just as good as ratty or as more pristine. So it's just in all and how you twist and how you work and your touch. So although every time you see my shoulder, I'm probably going in to load up the brush a little bit more, so I can create some varied effects. So when Bob says paint happy little trees, he means for your brush to dance like a little banshee. So make your brush dance. But this isn't a Bob Ross painting at all. We hadn't even used the palette knife once. We hadn't used Prussian blue once. This is us trying to create just a painting. I'm just joking with those other statements. So just throwing in that dark aspect of things. You just want the feel of everything to be the same. You want some irregularities in your strokes and how the paint's applied in the dark areas. There are some dark moments happening throughout here. I can just apply them. Obviously, this tree that we have in the foreground right there, that's a bad boy. He's a dark boy. We're gonna go up and try to get something that looks like a tree. Obviously, you can just draw a straight line, so you know trees are always thickest at the trunk, especially when it's green. So we can come out, I can use the brush's edge to kind of help us create a variety of branches coming out. It gets thinner, it gets thicker, it gets thinner, thicker. It's just a shrub tree, little baby evergreen or pine. They're not really pines, I don't think. They look more. It is South Carolina though, so you feel like they should be pines, but I'm not sure. And just to kind of carry this tradition of the dark, you might want to throw just a little bit of dark down. It's not really here, but there are times where having other color kind of underneath, because we're going to be painting on top of it, so it'll mix in the more that we paint on top of it. And plus it's not that thick, so you're not really going to see it, but it's good to kind of have. It's not a necessity, but it is fun. And the darkness kind of weights it at the bottom, like gives it weight and dimension for sure. So hey, I mean, might as well just feather some of that up. That's how it ended up. So all right, so now we're on to round dose in lesson 6. We do have some brush here that's slightly different color than the other mixtures over here. I'm not sure how I really want to tackle it at this moment. I'm thinking I will go back to the bristle is blue, dark blue, so I'm going to clean it off real quick. At least a good bit. And go into the darker sort of army green earthy tone that I made and see how that looks. Looks like it'd be good for and I actually mixed that, I remember now, like for the tree lines that are kind of coming out a little bit over in this area on this tree, to give it 3 dimension instead of just a silhouette of a tree. Still changing my brush angles. Still might throw down some paint and change up the angles. I can always come back in and add more darkness if I don't like how light I got or how brilliant or how everything went down. There's probably a lot of that color in this sort of scenario of this tree brush in front of this one. I might would want to, I could just hint at that color over the place. And then I can come in, I did have like that one color that I did use with cad yellow. It is a little bit greener. I could throw that in there. It's not like a big deal. And I don't even have much of it because I used it for something else, I believe. But I could have something that's slightly greener. And trust me, I'm gonna come back and hit my darks again. So like once you hit your lights and you cover your darks, then you can come back in with your darks and hit your lights, and you'll start forming more of a shape, or which is what you want. And if you have that on the brush, hey, hit some of that too, because we're definitely going to be going lighter right here, and it's going to cover a lot of that anyway. So let's go lighter. So we'll use the other color that I have for this stuff, and we are going to try to fill in the white while trying to paint what I see. I see a bunch of the air holes. This is the tree coming up, and I'm trying to hit or miss. It's going to be blended a little bit. This still could be considered basically blocking in at this moment. I feel like I'm blocking in the foreground because I feel like I will come back in and change some things for sure. So just be wary of what I'm doing, and we're going through this together. It's the first time I ever painted this. And you don't know until you actually lay it down, until you get a vibe of what you're painting, what you're seeing. You don't know exactly how you'll feel about certain scenarios. I can make some crazy strokes here just to give it some foliage and depth and contrast. I'll come back in with some dark and do the same. And I might even come back in with some light again. I'll probably even come back in with a different color green. We'll even talk about it all. But right now, in this stage, I just want to cover the white. I want to know where I am. I want to know what I'm trying to do, trying to accomplish of blocking it in right now. And then we'll take a step away and really kind of come back and finish this puppy after I get sort of some of this blocked in. And think about it. It's always good to step away from your painting. Go about, heck, you can go down, you can put your painting outside and go down the street and look at it, and it changes so much from every step backward to every step forward. The best paintings are when you see them from a distance and they look so cool, and you get up close and you don't know how the artist painted it. It's brushstroke, it's palette knife work, it's wiping off, it's thin strokes, it's thick strokes. You don't even know how they came about even painting it. Those are the really coolest paintings, I feel like, that are out there and are really cool. This is the same sort of color. It might be just a little more white and ochre, or less ochre. Just adding a different touch. So I feel like we're getting a little bit of somewhere. Like, you could add a little bit of the lighter version somewhere over here, but you don't need too much. And you don't need it to be blurred either. Or you want it to be blurred, but not such a hassle of a straight line or anything. So I think this is where we'll stop for this one, and then pick right back up in 2 or 3 moments for round, I guess this is round 6. I think that's what I said. You really just want to feel like the tree lines, 50 yards, 40, 50 yards away from you, boom in your face, and then all of a sudden you go down a steep valley, and then you have a mountain range, and then the preceding mountain range is behind you. That's the feeling that you want to try to capture. So we'll stop from here, we'll regroup, and we'll have the last round. All right.